Welcome back once again, real people, real life, Wichita, Kansas,
America!
Okay, you didn't know that we do that, right? Gotcha off guard.
Startling.
Our guests are ever going, you just wait, what?
Whoa.
Okay, so we have our spotlight on local business, and I really am been talking to you guys, and I love the fact that it's a father-son, locally owned. You're part of our roots here, and it's important that you take care of your customers because you want to stay here and keep putting those roots in the ground. So I have Eugene, the father, Dominique, the son, and you own
Masat Heating and Cooling.
Masat Heating and Cooling.
Right.
What is going on right now? Because we literally almost had to pull you guys off of a job to get you in today.
The every furnace that is running long hours is breaking.
Yeah.
Especially if they need service, regular maintenance is important. At least once a year for the furnaces and once a year for the air conditioners.
But the thing is they're not just breaking and not working. Some of them are breaking and can potentially cause a health hazard, because I almost died because of one that broke just earlier this year.
Cracked heat exchanger.
Yeah, I had carbon
Explain
monoxide.
this.
Please
Yeah.
do.
Explain the situation.
Well, if the heat exchanger has a crack in it, and we have put some pictures of them on Facebook, ones that we have pulled out and have had holes throughout them, and they cause carbon monoxide, which displaces the oxygen in the bloodstream. And when it displaces the oxygen in the bloodstream, then obviously you're not getting oxygen.
You got a hard
and
time
it's also,
breathing.
yeah, and it's also a poison.
But you don't realize it.
No, you
No,
don't
it's a
realize
silent. It's considered a silent, deadly, toxic.
Symptoms are flu-like symptoms, headaches. When you wake up in the morning, you'll have a headache. That's because you don't breathe as deep at nighttime, and this carbon monoxide affects you more profoundly at night like that. So
That
you
is
wake
so
up in the
scary.
morning with headache or flu-like symptoms.
We've had a lot of, parents.
Or you don't wake up.
Or you don't wake up. Yeah.
That's right.
Or your
Exactly
pets don't
right.
wake up.
Exactly.
So I think that this is something that's really important. I want parents, with small children, and a lot of our elderly. We have so many folks that don't, take the time to get these things
Right.
serviced on a regular basis, and I can't say how important that is. Would you guys all agree with me on that? If somebody wanted to become a regular customer and do this annual maintenance checkup, how can they find you? You said something about Facebook.
Call us up on 316-529-3900. That's they can give us a call, or they can look us up in phone book. We're in the phone book, and they can also Google us.
Okay.
If they just Google Masat, M-U-S-S-A-T, heating
you.
and cooling,
It's right here.
it'll come
It's
up.
right there.
Right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So
That'll
Google
come up.
search it, and which phone book?
User friendly is
Okay,
is
'cause we have
typical.
multiple
We have
still.
more, yeah, we have more ads than user friendly.
Okay. Do you have any coupons in there? People always ask
No
that.
coupons.
Okay. No coupons, kids.
No.
So this time of year, other than obviously the heaters are breaking down because it's been bitter cold. So we're going to run through this cycle on the heating issues, and then before you know it, kids,
Yeah.
you're going to be into the AC units.
That's right.
And so this is, and I think maybe in Kansas, and correct me if I'm wrong, although we're a seasonal, it's odd that our winter may begin with freezing temperatures, October even, but here we are later in the new year, and we're still having issues. When my AC went out, it went out in September, okay? So it wasn't like it was a July, August
Right.
situation, but, that regular maintenance comes back into play.
Right, and we usually start the cleaning checks for air conditioners in April and early May.
Smart.
April might be a little soon, it depends on the weather, but it's just like this. We've hit our cold snap, our heavy cold snap now, and it goes in phases, because as soon as the first 32-degree night comes along, then everybody turns their furnace on, and then all of a sudden we get calls. And then as you go down, temperature goes down, those that you get a longer run time, and then
Right.
those that are dirty that haven't been cleaned, typically we'll have to get a call on that too.
Right.
Then as the temperature gets colder, as it did this weekend.
Yeah, okay, but
Yeah.
when is a good time then to, if we know that we need to look at having our ACs checked around that April, May timeframe, what about the heaters?
The heaters would September.
September.
Middle to late September.
Definitely.
Middle
We've had
September
ice
is
in
best.
October before.
Right, and see, it might still be hot at the 1st of September or
Right.
warm, but it's not a bad idea. That's not a bad time, 10th of September, around in that time to start thinking about, or go ahead and schedule it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because we have a slack time, last of August, 1st of September.
Right.
And so if you start calling then, we can schedule them right up.
I think
without a problem.
Didn't you tell us something earlier that when we do get to this crisis time, for example, I mean, to me,
Right,
it's
right.
almost crisis time because there's so
That's-
many people that
That's right.
that have to have heat for their family members and elderly and all
Mm-hmm.
that. So you get to that, everybody's stuff's breaking down, and we're kind of like, crisis. And a lot of these companies really are not set up to and or equipped to take on that additional influx on a short amount of time, but you guys are.
It is difficult when you get say you have 300 or 400 customers, and if they don't do the regular cleaning check and they need those service calls, then it does continue to be difficult. So,
Right.
As far as actually taking care of 200 calls in a day, I don't think. we
Yeah,
can
no,
do
right?
that.
Your head would be
There is a limit. Okay, there is a limit,
But
and
for
there's
the
a
most
limit for
part,
everybody.
You're
Pardon?
saying your same day service, right?
Yes, we like to do same day service, but on those heavy winter cold temp drops and also summers when you hit the
Crisis
100 degree
mode.
mark,
Right.
all of a sudden everybody turns it on, and it's difficult to cover that when
Right.
they call all at once.
I have
But-
a question. for
yeah,
Lauren.
go ahead.
Is there much difference between people who live in mobile homes compared to regular homes when it comes to servicing?
No.
No.
Much difference for us. There is, it's a mobile home, and it is it is different. And there are some companies that don't even do mobile homes.
Okay.
And some of it's because of propane. They don't like propane. And
Really?
propane, yeah, it's a sharper gas. So
I've interviewed a propane.
insurance companies can be a little bit finicky about that, but you just have
Do you service?
yes, we do service propane.
That's good to know.
And there are some, and because of mobile homes being different as far as the wiring and stuff, that's the reason that some companies don't do it. But we do.
Interesting.
You said earlier that you service the entire area, not just Hayesville?
We will service most all of Wichita. It's a pretty large area to cover, and then we do go to Derby, Mulvane, and of course Hayesville is really our mainstay in South Wichita. But we do go all around.
Yeah.
We do. I mean, it's hard not to.
Right.
Because we do get calls all over. Now we don't go to Goddard. We don't go to Andover. It's just
Winfield, Wellington. I mean,
There's
come on,
gotta
you
be a
know?
limit.
There's got to be a limit. I mean,
you can have so much windshield time you don't get any service calls done.
I know, yeah, and you're driving for 3 hours trying to get somewhere, and then
Yeah.
before you know it, I know that feeling. How many years have you been doing this?
40 years.
40
right
years.
at 40 years, yeah. And he's been...
You're a young puppy.
He's been, he's been working for me 12 years. Or 10 years going on 11, I'm sorry.
Yeah? How do you like it?
I like it.
You like it?
It's good. Keeps me busy.
Right?
Yeah. Makes him sweat in the summer.
Hey, there you go. There you go. What's the biggest problem with AC units?
Capacitors.
Okay.
Well, I said, number one and number two, Freon is probably number one.
Yeah, okay.
Number two is capacitors.
We have, where I live, here in Kansas anyway, the neighbors have this giant oak tree. Mm-hmm. Okay, and there's like this oak fir. I didn't know that trees had fir, whatever you want to call it, but it just fills.
Sure, it's not a cottonwood tree?
Cottonwood, that's what it is.
Tree.
Okay, the oak one's in the back.
the oak doesn't-
We had nuts last week.
Cottonwood makes snow.
Whatever. Yeah, so that's the one I'm talking about. Anyway, I almost brought blueberries today for you guys, by the way, but I forgot.
Oh, no.
I know, right? Anyway, but it does, and so we have to get out there and comb those coils, and wash it because it's all yucky. But there again, that would be something that you guys would
Right.
do on that maintenance program.
Right, exactly.
That would be for the spring thing.
Right. For the spring cleaning, we do
And
wash
some
the
in
condenser coils.
Heat pumps run in the winter too, so some of those might need to be cleaned in the fall.
Okay. Walk me through what a typical. They can all. I understand things. Units are different. What would be a typical, checkup for
Air
AC?
conditioning or
AC.
AC would be, we would go out and clean the condenser first, and then pull the cover off and look at the electrical and check the fan motor. If it's oilable, we oil it. Then we pull the capacitor and check it, make sure it's up to par as far as what it's generating.
And filter change as well.
Then
Wow.
we go inside and check the filter and make sure the blower's in good condition. And usually, if we have to pull the blower or clean the evaporator coil, there's usually an an extra charge because those
Yeah,
those
I
take
understand
time.
that. My
Those
blower's
take time. Yeah,
gone twice.
Right, but we'll check the filter in the blower compartment and make sure the condensate drain is
Right.
open.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, that's another big
Right.
one. Okay, walk me through on the heating. What's a good checkup for that?
Pull the burners, check all the electrical, inspect all that, do a heat exchanger inspection, oil the blower motor if it needs oiled, change filter, of course.
Right, yeah.
And
People don't understand how important those filters are, do they?
yeah, 'cause it's utilities.
I cannot.
Some people don't even know they have a filter.
Now that's scary.
So
Okay, that is very, very scary to me. I mean, I don't know, and I don't mean to be rude to anybody. I am a neat freak. I really am. I'm one of those people that if I can, if there's a spot on my floor 10 feet away, I have to immediately get up and go pick it up. So I'm a little bit of a neat freak. But, when I walk into different places, for example, and there's like 2 inches of crud on their ceiling fan, I pretty much can imagine what their filters look like.
Exactly.
So that's kind of a tell-all to me.
yeah. Right.
And so if you are at home, whether it be a motorhome or whatever, please check your furnace filters, those filters, okay? Tell them usually where they might find them. I can't
Near the
believe we have to do
blower,
this.
in a return somewhere. It's in the return and near a blower typically.
they have filter racks that are in ceilings too.
Right.
Yeah.
That are on the little hinge.
Okay, mine's right there by the blower. I know right where it is, and then the hot water heater's over there. Okay, kids, make sure you take care of getting filters. I mean, come on, you can get them at Wally World, for example, Home Depot, wherever. Make sure you get the proper size, and make sure if yours is like mine and it has a little cover, put the cover back on. Don't do like I did one year and I bought the wrong size. And
If you buy the wrong
Yeah.
size, take some scissors to it.
no, really don't. But make sure you put the cover back on. You have to. One more time. Name of the company again?
Masat Heating and Cooling.
Sot. Heating and Cooling. Google you.
Yes,
Google you.
MUSSAT. MUSSAT.
And where'd that come from? It's Italian.
That's Italian.
Say that,
yes.
Italian.
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 Yes.
Italian.
Dominique Masat.
Oh, see, yeah. Oh. Okay, now there you go. Here's where all the young women out there are like, oh my gosh. Okay, we better get that out. Are you single? Because
I'm engaged.
Okay, well there you go, ladies. Don't blow up our Facebook
Sorry.
asking us. Okay. Okay. No, he's engaged. So there you go. All right, and the phone number one more time.
316-529-3900.
3900. Pretty easy. All right. If your air conditioners, not quite yet, but they will get there. Believe me. Definitely, your heaters are broke. Give these guys a call. You're gonna love them. Great folks.
Thank you.
Right here in Wichita, Kansas, America.
Right.
America.
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 America. We'll be right back. Real people, real life. Welcome back once again, real people, real Wichita, Kansas.
America.
Wichita, Kansas. Okay,
We're here.
we're here. Phew.
Where?
Where? We are at Mindfire.
At Mindfire Academy.
Mindfire Academy. Don't forget that part. Lots of fun stuff coming up on the show. Don, you booked our topic guest. Tell
We
me a
got a
little bit.
great guest today, Robert Moody, attorney at law at Martin Pringle. And Robert is involved in many, many things. He's going to talk to us about a great new program he's got coming up on expungements.
Right.
A lot of folks in Wichita may be interested.
Very interested.
Really?
Yes, this is going to be very fascinating. I met him at a Know Your Rights seminar that they had, or I don't know if they're still having them. They were doing a series of them there for a while, and that was one of my first opportunities to meet him. And I know that he also represented some people that I know in some other cases, but this has been a really big one that they're working on right now, so that's really cool. And then on our Spotlight for Local Business, we have some fantastic guys.
Oh, yeah,
Some HVAC dudes.
Yeah.
dudes. Always
Yeah.
like HVAC dudes.
HVAC guys,
Perfect time of year.
I know. Well, we had to literally grab them real quick off of a job, and they're like, we would love to do this. We want to do it. We want to do it. But they're so swamped because everybody's heaters are breaking, and so
All
they're
weekend, Monday after week.
It was bitter cold.
yeah, and so they're kind of super busy. And then next week, well, okay, why am I dressed like this? Okay, here's
Why are you dressed like this?
why am I dressed like that, Robin? Okay, so
It's cute.
well, yeah, I know, right?
That too.
Anyway, no, it was. We got a call. The station actually took the call, and our local Army recruiter company here would like to be guests on the show. So, and you guys know me, I'm all for our veterans, so I thought I would probably say we will be having some of the recruiters coming on here pretty soon in the next couple of weeks or so. So, but Rhodey's got some stuff that's going to be coming on here pretty quick. Tell me, do.
I think we're gonna have Rudy Love in here next week, along with John and JC, the directors of the Rudy Love film.
Yep.
Which is really good. I mean, everything's kind of steamrolling along. We just got a couple more people involved on it, which is kind of cool.
Okay, and
Like Sinbad.
oh my God, I know that dude.
And so he'll be in town here when this airs about next week.
Oh,
at the
I
Orpheum.
have to talk to him. Okay.
You know, he played on stage live with Rudy back in the 80s when he was living here in Wichita.
Yeah, because see, he lived.
We
in
got
Wichita.
video.
Really, you got video of that?
Yeah, of that.
Okay, he did a stand-up comedy thing, and I went to go see him. It was at the Brass Monkey. Okay,
Oh,
to just
God.
tell you how old I am, kids.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, shut up. Anyway, it was a club, tiny little place called the Brass Monkey. Holy crap! Anyway, and so that's the first time I met him. And then he played. God, he had like a deal there for a while.
Well, he's been in a ton. He was like in Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right, yeah.
He did a whole ton of those.
Recently in American Dad.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, you know what he's doing now? He's
Didn't he
actually.
send that to her?
Yeah,
Because
he's
he had
doing
kind
a
of
lot
like
of
a reboot.
soul and funk music, so he's got a band, so he's focusing on that.
Right on.
Starting to focus on
Way
that
to
a
go,
little more.
Sinbad.
Probably stand up too, but yeah,
Okay.
so that's pretty cool.
Okay, right on. And then there's another.
And then possibly Jay-Z.
Okay, well, yeah. Well, we kind of knew Jay-Z.
Did you just drop that in there? Like we might get Jay-Z. Like one of the
No, I'm
biggest-
sure that's.
Well, he
Rap
actually
vocals.
sampled one of Rudy's songs recently on the American Gangster soundtrack with Denzel Washington in it.
Yeah.
So and there's another song that he wants from Rudy that from what we heard, I don't know what the status is of it yet, but him and P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, whatever his name is now.
Sean Combs.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they famous?
Those two, I don't know. I've heard of them.
Oh my God. Well, Sean and I have something that we're going to be asking next week while Rudy Love is here on the show with us. That we're not going to tell anybody else about, but Rhodey knows about it.
I think so.
And
yeah.
yes, and I'm going to be officially on the record that day asking our city government officials to do something.
Yeah, that's right.
To do something. So you've been fairly warned, dear city officials. Okay, so yay!
Look out.
Yeah, look out, kids. Political people just love it when I warn them. You know. Speaking of political stuff, and veterans and all that. I was watching the show this morning, and we were talking about some of our favorite shows last year. And I even though this show won't air for about a week or so, this is actually the week where our state legislature is up there going to work. Now you went, I believe you were able to go last week because I know I couldn't make it. I was ill. What was the key things? We did talk about the DCF issues and that with Senator Oletha.
Yes.
So that was a big one. What were some of the other ones that were discussed?
Well, some of the other things were community reinvestment. Brandon Johnson's a friend of ours. He was talking
We
about
want to get
that.
Brandon back on too.
I talked about legalization of cannabis, reform of cannabis laws.
And was it like crickets in the room or what?
I got some good interaction, but no words or anything.
Did they say if there was any bills that were going to be?
There is something they're talking about in 2016.
That's
I
what
don't
I
know
thought.
the details.
Okay.
Now, didn't they already file one, or did that get shot down last year?
Well, they did. They had one.
That was our shot down.
Went through the House, but couldn't get out of the Senate because of Senator Mary Pritchard.
Yeah,
Or I say
Pilchard.
Senator, I don't know what her last name
Yeah,
is. Something
Pilchard.
like that. Quick.
That works.
Did I say that wrong? I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I have heard too that there's a hemp bill that would fall under the agriculture, bill, and then there's a possible on a cannabis one too.
We need to really get into hemp,
Yeah.
industrial hemp.
Now, I thought that went through the Farm Bill federally
Yeah,
last
federally,
year.
absolutely.
Pushed through by Mitch McConnell of
No,
Kentucky.
Yeah.
It's federal law, absolutely.
Yeah.
If your state approves it,
That's
Oh, okay, so then your state has to go to
Exactly.
approve
It falls into
Well,
the
we
state.
might as well regulate that.
Oh, why not?
Since we're all about not regulating anything, might as well regulate.
How-
Might as well regulate stuff that
Depends. It
doesn't make
depends
any
on what,
sense.
yeah.
Well, in Colorado currently, because we've got a lot of friends there and we try to pay attention. But I know that the hemp stock, for example, if you're going to use your hemp growth, your plants, if you're going to use those, if you're going to use those as a medicinal and or even a biofuel, they can only have, I think it's still 0.2%
Or something like that.
THC.
Super low.
0.02. Yeah.
0.03.
For your
Right now? Okay.
for your fuel.
Yeah,
For any
because
of
we
them.
thought, I know, right? Well, because we thought it was
Yeah.
really, we thought somebody that we know that we were going to be acquiring hemp seed from, his, God, I can't remember how many acres he had, but when he went to take his plants to be checked in Denver before this new place was built in Pueblo, they
They were
registered.
too high?
They registered at
No pun
0.5
intended.
or something like that. I know it was, it wasn't a lot in comparison to the legal amount. So we were all sitting back going, okay, he won't be able to use it for medical. We knew that. But we really thought that he would at least been able to use it for the biofuel.
Yeah.
And they came back and they said, oh, no. So basically, he has, I want to say 100 acres worth of hemp that he can do one of two things. He can consume it himself in whatever way he would like.
Consuming, I mean,
And absolutely nothing else.
Well, I mean, or he can feed it to his livestock.
There you go.
So, I mean, it would definitely be something good for the
Feed it
livestock.
to his livestock.
Yeah.
Could you really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But you could still, I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna
to
milk the
me,
cow.
to me, I'd be making lotions and oils and, and all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's still some things that he could have done, but he would not be able to sell them. Period. Okay, that would just be considered personal use. So I think it'll be interesting. To see what kind of regulations Kansas puts on it. I mean, and why they don't understand it. It naturally grows here constantly.
Why are we putting people in jail on a plant?
Well, that's another good question.
that is a whole nother
That
story.
is
a whole nother
that
story.
is the question.
Right. Okay, well, let's take this from the next level because a lot of times we talk about what's going on in Wichita, we talk about what's going on in Kansas.
I've got some stuff going on though that I wanted to tell you guys
What?
about. This last weekend was the very first meeting for the LLS campaign, which I'm on the committee team
Oh, that's
to
right.
promote Bree Malcolm to run for the leukemia and lymphoma.
Okay, I saw
And so,
some on that.
I was hoping to bring her on the show at some point
Yeah.
here pretty soon so that we can get it out there. We've got a lot of events that we're planning. A lot of fun stuff.
So much coming
So I
up.
want to tell everybody about that, but I want her to do that. So
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Any more photo shoots?
Yes, we do have some more photo shoots. Would you like to come and join in?
Absolutely.
I'll
clear my
This
schedule.
next week, we're shooting for the Halloween portion of the calendar, and so we're doing all DC and Marvel characters. I'm going to be Harley Quinn, but from the Suicide Squad Harley Quinn.
Oh, it's never a dull moment.
Wow.
Okay. So who's been watching some of the political debates on the presidential level?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, it has just
Okay,
got
because
insane.
can I ask one question? Because this is one of the topics that we all know. Veterans. Tell me what you have seen, what you've heard on the presidential level as far as veterans as a main issue during a debate. Jen, fire.
I haven't seen much.
I believe it's being avoided.
Me either.
I think
Yep,
we
it's
can pretty
an
well
avoided
answer this
topic.
together and just say,
Nothing.
They haven't said anything.
No, they absolutely have not.
Well, let me take that back. They've been talking about creating more veterans.
Well, that is
They
true.
want to send our young men and women were to fight somewhere in the
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
They do.
I thought that was over.
Oh, no, honey. It's just getting
It's never
started.
going to be over.
That's what they
I think
said.
it's just getting started.
I think there should be a law that they're not allowed to do anything like that until they fix the problems that they have now.
Right.
Like
I agree.
the homeless veterans,
Supposedly, they're
the
supposed to go to
VA.
Congress to declare war. Now, they haven't quite been doing that yet.
Well, that hasn't happened in 40 years.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I agree with Rodeo to hear about. I mean, we've got so many homeless veterans. We have so many veterans that are waiting for medical care. We
Enough
have
of this
issues.
BS about taking care of our veterans.
Right.
We're not doing it, and they're not doing it. They just
Right.
want to. We're going to send them over there because we'll take care of you, and they just lie. They don't.
A good
They
friend
don't
of
at all.
ours from the
Exactly.
show here, Nathan McClure, spoke also about veterans
Yeah.
issues when that was awesome.
yeah,
He did command.
Yeah.
Well, he was a big guy. He did command.
Yeah.
A lot of respect from
I'm
him.
sure
They
he
all
did.
were watching.
Well, it's not just his size; it's actually what he's doing.
It's why
and his
it's even
point.
bigger. It's
Yeah.
even bigger.
Yeah, I got some more information on that one today,
To be honest, he
too.
has to have a wheelbarrow to carry his gonads when he goes anywhere.
Well, this is true. I would have to agree. I would totally have to agree with that. But, so we will have our, that's a nice visual to leave everybody with.
I was gonna say.
Happy Monday.
I know, right? Good morning. Happy Monday.
Good lead into the sponsors.
I know, right?
On that happy note,
Please, what's wrong?
Oh, You know, you just never know where we're going to go.
You never know.
I know, right? But we got some big stuff to talk about that is going on right here in Wichita, Kansas, and a super awesome guest. I can't wait to have here on our topic portion.
Coming up next, Mr.
Coming up
Robert
next.
Moody,
That's
attorney.
Find
right.
out how to get some things expunged.
God, let's do this. Okay, welcome back. We'll be right back. Real people, real life. Welcome back once again, real people, real life, Wichita, Kansas, America. Okay, wow. I've been looking forward to this one. Okay, we are very honored to have with us today on our topic segments Mr. Robert Moody, attorney at law, and you're with Martin and Pringle Law Firm here in Wichita, Kansas. Right. And literally, there is so much that I can, Wichita Urban Professionals, let's see, were you the treasurer there? Community, I know you're in tons of community. I met you originally at a Know Your Rights, I believe it was, seminar, which was very fascinating, by the way. You do a lot of community service. And there's something that you're working on, and we can come back to some of this if you want to, but you're working on something that is so important to a lot of people right now that can really make a difference in their life. It's such a huge, it's a life changer. I do believe that. Can you tell me about the expungement that you're doing and helping with so many people?
Certainly. First of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
And I'm very excited to share with everyone this project that we've been working on. It's called the Clean Slate Project. The Wichita Bar Association, in conjunction with some private donors here in town, are kind of teaming up to make a kind of one-stop shop for eligible individuals to get their criminal history expunged.
Now tell me, because I see, you'll see these on Facebook, for example, okay? And a lot of times these are, what would be the proper name? They're not actually attorneys, they're, what would that?
Kind of like document preparers.
Yeah,
or
document
something like
preparers.
that.
And so they're running like little Facebook ads, for, like
$1.99.
writing wills.
How much does it cost for you?
Well, I just charge different fees depending on, it varies.
Okay.
But I'll just break it down like this. To file an expungement, there's a $195 filing fee to file the expungement in Sedgwick County. If it is a City of Wichita conviction, there's a $75 filing fee.
In addition to that?
And
That's the court cost.
Yes, exactly. And I want to say thank you for saying that, because these Facebook ads just basically says plus any filing
court
fees
costs or records,
high costs or
records requests that
so
you
when
have
you
to
see
do.
those $99,
It's not.
That's please. So you're going to learn the real deal from an actual real attorney versus somebody that's putting an ad on Facebook. That's not really the case. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to get that point out. A lot of people don't understand that.
Sure.
And you are a real lawyer. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So keep going forward, please.
Okay. And so before I even get started, expungement, most of you may know, but just in case those that don't, it's a legal process that allows an individual to clear their criminal history if certain requirements are met. In Kansas, we actually have, it's all statute based. So first of all, anyone with a federal crime is ineligible to get that federal crime expunged, except in a very extremely limited circumstance, because there's no federal statute that allows for expungement.
Okay.
The Kansas criminal expungement statute is fairly, it's a pretty good one compared to other states. Some states don't allow expungements or varying degrees of expungements. In Kansas, there's a list of certain crimes that are ineligible to be expunged.
Okay.
Mostly the crimes that you think of: murder, kidnapping,
Rape. Hello.
Aren't those all federal level crimes, though?
They could be, but these are state level as well. So these are any state crimes. Most of the sexual crimes are ineligible for expungement. Right. So this is just general. So, but if your crime is not on that list of ineligible crimes, then the good news is that you are eligible to get that conviction expunged. The necessary steps in order to do that: you must petition the court. It's not something that happens automatically. You have to affirmatively do something, and you do that by filing a petition requesting that your record be expunged. The criteria to get an expungement is, number one, it cannot be an ineligible crime. That's on the list that can't be expunged. Number two, a certain amount of time has has to have passed since your commitment to the court. Now, this is kind of a, people usually have a lot of questions about this, but when does the clock start ticking on an expungement?
Right.
The clock starts ticking. I use the general term when you finish your commitment to the court. That could be serving a jail sentence. That could be finishing probation. That could be, a supervised release or a parole. Or once you're off paper, typically is what people, when you're off paper, that's when the clock starts ticking. And so the day after that, then, the time frame starts to run. For most crimes, most lower severity level felonies, and most misdemeanors, that time period is 3 years.
3.
So 3 years from the date that you get off paper, you'll be eligible for an expungement. The mid-level felonies, and then some misdemeanors, driving stuff, domestic violence, there's a handful of misdemeanors that it's a 5-year time frame. So essentially, that's the second criteria that you need to meet. The third criteria is that you cannot have been convicted of a felony in the past 2 years from when you petition the court. If you meet those 3 criteria, then you should be eligible for an expungement. Now, there is some wiggle room, and sometimes the prosecutor's office can either object to it or not object to it, or what have you. They do have they can make that determination to object to it.
Right, exactly.
But generally, if you meet those criteria, then the process goes through. And so what we're doing in the Clean Slate Project is we're kind of combining everything to be done at one time, one place. Generally, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes 10 weeks for the typical expungement to get done. And
6 to 8 weeks.
A lot of stops.
Okay.
Yeah, so typically, if I get a call, somebody wants to get an expungement, I have to get the appropriate records, which usually include the judgments, the journal entry, the court information of what was your conviction, when did you get convicted, when did you get off, your commitment to the court. Those things are contained within the journal entries, and so you have to gather that information and then, fill out essentially a form. The district attorney's office does have expungement forms online. The city of Wichita also has expungement forms online, as well as the judicial council has a website that contains expungement forms that are kind of a fill in the blank deal. And I think this is what you referred to. Some of these, places that advertise, that's what they're essentially doing, is trying to fill in the blanks on these forms.
But that's not petitioning the court.
It is. They prepare the documents, and then you file the petition. You have to pay the filing fee, which in Sedgwick County does it. They, the way they do it is good. They allow you to fill out the paperwork, complete your petition and all that, send it to the district attorney's office, and they will determine whether or not you qualify before they make you pay the filing fee.
Nice.
So that's cool. But in the city of Wichita, you have to file it first. You have to pay $75. They set a hearing date, and then you go and have the hearing. But what this project does is we've got volunteers from the Wichita Bar Association. We've got district attorneys. Mark Bennett has been has put his blessing on this. City prosecutor's office and Sharon Dick Graff over there have put their blessing on this. So we're all working together to create this day where people can come in, and if they're eligible, to kind of speed up the process. Instead of 6 to 8 weeks, a lot of people will be able to walk out of the courthouse that same day with an expungement.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the key is there's a couple different things. So some crimes, if they're person crimes, where they involve, crimes against persons, require victim notification.
Correct.
And so pursuant to the statute in Kansas law, those people that have those types of crimes won't get it processed that day necessarily. We can still, let you know, hey, here's what your crime is. If you qualify or not, we can do our thing and then potentially have that person come back at a later date.
Okay, so you're working towards selecting this day, or
We've
has
already
this
got the
day already
dates.
been placed? What day is this?
March 4th.
March
2016, so it's coming up here pretty quick.
And what do they have to do?
All you got to do is show up. That's all you have to do.
Where do you show up?
Sedgwick County District Court.
Which building?
It's the blue building.
Blue building.
Blue building.
$525.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. Everybody's come together. We've worked to get the process to where we can get it done that day. There's no strings attached. We've got volunteer attorneys. We've got some very generous donors, private donors in the community that have donated funds to cover the filing fees.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of the key thing here.
Oh.
And so eligible individuals that qualify will be able to show up at no cost to them and be able to get their
On March
convictions
4th,
expunged.
2016,
Wow.
Blue Building. What time?
From 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Is it going to be only first come, first serve?
Well, we do have, limited. We got we've got funds, but there is, a
Limited
limited
funds.
amount of funds.
So first come,
we're going to
first
try
serve.
to do as much as we can that day.
Do you suggest that
Wow.
they have that paperwork from the city and/or
No,
county
we're going to
done?
do all the paperwork.
Every
Even out-
step of
Oh
it.
my Lord!
So
Wow.
what should they bring? Like the basics?
You need to bring a photo identification, whether it be a driver's license, a school ID, passport, whatever, something that has
Prison
your,
release identification.
yeah, anything with your name on it. It can be whatever, and a picture.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have the party fill out a brief information sheet. We're going to hand that information sheet over to investigators, who at that point are going to do the criminal background check right there.
Wow.
And so based on that, then the district attorney or the city prosecutor will be able to tell us whether or not they're going to object to it or not object to it.
Wow.
And so if they give us the thumbs up and it's a non-victim notification crime,
Right.
they'll pass that information over to the defense counsel, such as myself or other volunteer attorneys that will be there. We'll prep the paperwork. Everybody will sign off on it. You'll go see a judge. Judge will, sign off on it. We'll send you to the clerk's office. We'll have a person there writing checks to cover the filing fees, and you walk out the door with an expungement.
I can't tell you guys how huge this is.
Yeah, that is amazing.
When we were talking about this, and I kind of responded at one point in the emails, because I kind of already had a heads up on this program, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is such literally a life changer for
great-
so many people.
great community effort.
Sometimes it's not a huge crime. It may be a misdemeanor, but it's preventing them from moving
getting the right
forward
jobs.
in their career lives
Yeah.
and in other issues, which does, unfortunately, I have to throw DCF under the bus one time here, but sometimes it affects what goes on with them as well. Okay, so I cannot stress to you guys how huge this is. I cannot tell you thank you enough, and I do want to make sure and say to our District Attorney Mark Bennett, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay, because again, just like when it came to working with getting something in place to help, get the whole thing going for the people that have been abused through, different sexual crimes and or child trafficking, a hero here in Wichita has been Mark Bennett. So I want to thank Mr. Bennett for being, what I feel has been very proactive in doing a lot of things for, our citizens and our community here. And when we come back, you have more exciting things to talk to us about.
More like
Yes,
this.
sir. Yes, sir. Are amazing.
That's
Mr.
why he was
Moody.
Man of the Year in 2015.
Oh, that's right. I know. That's right. Man of the Year.
Wow, really?
He's got like a long list. We're going to be right back with more from Mr. Moody with Martin and Pringle Law Offices here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm Erica.
Amazing.
Welcome back once again. Real people, real life. Wichita, Kansas, America. I know, right?
America.
And Mr. Moody, again, attorney at law with Martin Pringle Law Office here in Wichita.
amazing.
Wow. Okay, you, my friend. Okay, I met you the first time, I think, was when you were doing a Know Your Rights seminar,
Correct.
which was fantastic. And I'm glad to know that you guys are working on some more.
Thanks.
And as soon as you kind of get that figured out as far as topic and all that, please let us know.
Okay.
Okay. But you have something that I do feel is just as important as what we just talked about a minute ago. Can you break it down, please? Pay attention. Okay, let's talk about something as easy as getting a speeding ticket.
Okay, yeah, and that's what it is. I get it. Oftentimes, by the time I get the call, it's when somebody's in dire need to get their traffic issues resolved. But typically, it starts with a simple traffic stop. Whether it be a speeding, fail to signal, whatever it is. Individuals get the tickets, and when you get the ticket, it tells you need to either, here's the date that you need to do something by this date. And so, certainly you should do something by the date that the ticket says you should do something by. But there's a couple things you can do with the ticket. You can either pay the ticket or you can contest the ticket. But you definitely have to, take some type of action to make sure you can set it for court, or, there's a couple different things you do. But you have to do something, because if you don't, after a certain amount of time, then a couple of different things happen. First, there will be a court proceeding because you failed to comply with the traffic citation, so therefore probably and more than likely a bench warrant will be issued for your arrest. Secondly, on the administrative side, which is the driver's license part, is your driver's license will be suspended because you failed to comply with that
Now you're in
citation.
big trouble.
Big trouble.
Yeah.
But that's not even the worst part of it. So, and a lot of times this happens, and people sometimes you just forget. I got a ticket, life happens, you forget about the ticket. Next thing you know, you got a suspended license, and you may or may not get noticed. Now, keep in mind that they do send notices, they being the state of Kansas, to the last address that they have on file for you. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you have your updated information on file with the state. Otherwise, they're sending these notices to an old address and you might not be aware of it, but that's sufficient for what they need to get accomplished.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to do that. So now you've got the ticket, time passes, you forgot about it, you don't pay for it. Next thing you know, your license is suspended, you've got a bench warrant out, you might not even know it. You're going along minding your own business, you get stopped for another traffic violation. At this point, now you have a driving while suspended because your license is suspended. And this one, it gets serious. I mean, driving while suspended charges, they carry potential jail time with them, severe fines, and things of that nature. So I cannot, stress enough to you that if you have a ticket, put it on your calendar, do something, make sure you do whatever you need to do to either pay the ticket, contest the ticket. Sometimes you can get a diversion for a ticket. Sometimes you can get, tickets amended from a moving violation to a non-moving violation. These are many things you can do, but you need to do something for sure.
And if you contest it, though, it costs.
It does. They do add court costs on there.
You add court costs.
Correct.
Don't you already pay the court costs when you pay the ticket?
Thank you. A lot of people don't realize that. No, and each time you go back to contest it, let's say it gets continued, you pay that court cost again. I know somebody who fought a ticket. It was like a $70 ticket. Ended up spending $500 total to not win at the end. And it is very rare for them to not make you pay the ticket. So
this is great because I have a
pay
ticket
it.
that's due the day after tomorrow.
Well, the court cost.
In Sedgwick, because there's a speed trap in there to where it goes from 30 to 35 to 45 to 55 in about 100 yards.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, and isn't it the law that you can, when you see the next sign up there,
No, but
No.
you start
Once you
speeding
passed
up and
it.
being at speed when you hit the sign?
no.
No.
That speed limit is not enforced until you pass that sign. I learned that the hard way too.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just pay the stupid thing.
Pay it.
Yeah, why
I'm
not
telling
just pay
you,
it?
personal
Well,
experience.
yeah.
Do it. You'll
Well,
do that.
but do you guys all understand how big of a topic this is?
Yeah.
Yes,
Again,
huge.
Isn't almost these traffic tickets, the debt that you get, a back door to debtor's prison?
Well, it's not really. I mean, here's what happens. You owe all this money, and until you pay the money, I mean, usually you can't go to jail for not paying the debt, but you go to jail for not going to court when you're supposed to go to court.
Okay.
That's typically what the problem is. I mean, if you're supposed to go to court and you miss court date, you're going to get a bench warrant issued for your arrest. And anytime you come in contact with law enforcement, you will be arrested. It's that simple. But back to the, kind of the ticket, not taking care of it. If your license gets suspended because of a non-compliance with that traffic infraction, then they will add a reinstatement fee
And
to your driver's license, whether or not you win the case or not. Eventually, if they have to do that administrative action of suspending your driver's license, then you're going to have to pay for that.
then following that, you're going to have to file an SR-22
Yep.
for 6 months or however long they require you, which is an additional expense to your insurance. So, and that's once you've got it reinstated.
Right. So it's important. I mean, you can go on the Kansas Department of Revenue Division of Vehicles on the website. You can go there and check the status of your driver's license.
You
and see.
can?
You can.
Where?
I'm not sure. I usually just Google,
Google
driver's
it.
license, Kansas driver's license check. They do have it. All you have to do is plug in your driver's license number, your date of birth, I believe, and something else, and they'll tell you what the status of your license is. And then sometimes it might be a municipal. If you're suspended, then it'll tell you what court has your license suspended. So then you need to contact that court, and that court will say, hey, you got this unpaid traffic ticket, you owe $185, you need to pay it. Then once you pay it, then that court will notify the state that you're in compliance now, and then you can get your license reinstated. But it's important to do that before your license. If you do all that before you get stopped for driving while suspended,
You can fix it.
You can fix it. But if you get driving while suspended, the reason that's so important, I mean, it carries potential jail time,
Correct.
fines. But there's this thing in Kansas called the habitual violator statute.
That's right.
Some of you may or may not be familiar with. But what
Unfamiliar.
that means is if you get convicted of one of 8 listed major traffic violations in a 5-year period, then your driver's license will be revoked for a 3-year period. The typical violations that get people caught up are driving while suspended, no proof of insurance, and or DUI. If you get any combination of those over a 3-year period, then automatically you're going to get declared a habitual violator, and then you're going to be revoked for 3 years. And then once you get revoked, there's pretty much nothing that you can do in
And
order to get your license.
if you do drive,
On
At that
a
point, you're going to
I mean,
be.
there
pass go.
potentially you can. There's some issues, related to where you can potentially fix that issue. But I mean, it's much easier just to not get in that spot in the first place because, it's dire consequences. Because then people don't stop driving just because they have their license suspended.
Right.
And that's what the problem is. I mean, the Kansas law does not allow for individuals that have major traffic violations to get restricted. Now, there is a thing that Kansas law does have to where if you just have a ticket that you haven't paid and you can't pay that ticket, you can file this application with the state, pay a $25 application fee, and it's just something like you simply didn't pay the ticket and you can't afford it. They will give you a year to be able to pay that ticket off. And most people aren't aware of this, but you have to get this before you get a driving while suspended, before you get a no proof of insurance. If it's just, hey, I ran a red light, I can't afford the ticket, but I'm going to make payments towards it, you have to fill out this application. And if you're approved with that application, then you'll have a restricted license to where you can drive to and from work, to and from school. If you have court obligations, if you have to go, medical issues and things like that, then you can do that pursuant to Kansas law. And so a lot of people are unaware of that, but that form is also on the website too.
Yeah, but the thing that, when Juanita, Ridge and I were talking about some of these issues with the driving laws and some of the problems that we're having, a lot of times this may start with our kids at high school. Okay, and you know how sometimes kids they go and they make a big boo boo.
Oh, and they don't tell you about
and they
it.
don't want to tell mom and dad because they're going to get in all this trouble. So parents, please. I mean, if you have the high
internet.
school and grab that. I mean, knowing the kind of parent I am, I'd be like, let me see that driver's license. Or the minute, of course, she's an adult now, and I'm a grandparent. But
still do it.
I would still do it. My God, I would. Check their driver's license out. I mean, you don't want them. And unfortunately, when Juanita and I talked about this, a lot of times it is high school age kids, and they're setting themselves up for a monumental fail that can affect them in so many ways. Is that not true?
Yeah, I mean, the driving stuff, I get it all the time. And then, like I said, a lot of times it is just a matter of paying the fines, but part of it you have to figure out what you owe and why you owe and who you owe it to. There's also the SR22 that you mentioned, which is basically something that your insurance company has to file with the state to let the state know that you do have insurance. Whether or not you own a vehicle or not, sometimes you still are required to have an SR22 filed with the state for usually it's 12 months. And if there's any lapse in that coverage, then that can start everything all over again. So
if you have a history of speeding tickets, is that something you'd want to have expunged? Or is that something that falls off in a couple of years anyway?
Well, I mean, any traffic, misdemeanor or, felonies can get expunged. So, I mean, it's expungable.
As long as what's the amount of time that they would have to wait?
Traffic stuff, typically I don't know if I've ever expunged any traffic matters or anything.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's all I got.
Right?
unless it's a driving while suspended or, like a DUI or no proof of insurance or something of that nature.
Can you get a DUI expunged?
You can.
You can?
Yes, the DUIs are kind of tricky. There's a couple. The thing about expungements is, depending on when you got arrested, the statute that was in effect at that time controls. And so there's a certain period of time where some DUIs, and depends, is it a city DUI or is it a county DUI? So depending on the jurisdiction and what the law was in effect at that time, some may be ineligible, some may be eligible, some are eligible. Currently, it's 5 years after the first DUI and 10 years after the second DUI.
Wow.
To expunge.
Correct.
Wow. So you could do it and then it would not appear on your record anymore.
Correct. The whole purpose of an expungement is you can legally represent to the rest of the world that you've never been arrested or convicted for that offense.
Okay, that expungement opportunity is going to be available here in Wichita at the Blue Building downtown on March 4th. But if somebody does have questions, are they allowed to call your law firm?
Sure. Call me 265-9311. That's my number at the office. And hopefully we'll be having some informational sheets that are going to be, we're going to spread here. But between now and that time, I mean, we want to get the word out and let this benefit as many people as we can because, we understand, or I understand, I'm here speaking on behalf of myself right now, the the barrier that the criminal convictions can, place in front of a person for employment opportunities, for housing opportunities, insurance, and educational opportunities in the form of grants. If you have certain
Yes.
drug convictions, you can't get certain grants. So
And we've even seen it affect
it's a barrier that can be lifted through this process, because once you get something expunged, then, like I said, you can. In certain
like wiping the
instances,
slate
you
clean.
still have to make known in certain instances. For instance, if you want to be a law enforcement officer in the future, even though you have this conviction
Expunged,
expunged,
yeah.
you're still
Still
going to
have
have
to
to
do
tell
that.
them that. So there's a limited number of exceptions. But for the most part, publicly, for employment purposes, this is, it'll help remove that barrier to employment.
And to our viewers, please spread the word of mouth. Tell everybody about this, because in Wichita we have all these wonderful things taking place, and so very few people are like, we didn't know, and so let's spread the word. Let's get it out there. March 4th, starting at 9 a.m.
All right, we'll be right back. More real people, real life. Wichita, Kansas.